Welcome to the 2017 Red Raiders Coaches Show. I'm your host, Joe Hayes, and I'm here with head coach Kyle Langford. Coach, let's start off with senior night. We had a really big night, had a pretty good turnout, and it was a really good game, I think, to cap off and to honor our seniors. And it was one of them games that kind of snuck back up on us and made her become a threat all of a sudden, and but luckily we come out with a win. So
well, to their credit, you get to the last game of the season, people are going to play. They're going to play hard, and I thought they played hard the entire game. And to our discredit, we're up 23-0 going into the fourth, and I felt at that time, to be quite honest with you, I thought the game was under control, and it seemed to be. And we pulled a lot of guys and tried to get some of the guys that maybe were nursing injuries, try to get them out and get them healthy for Monday. And when you do that, you run that risk. And when that happened, the offense kind of stopped, and defensively we kind of lost our minds for a little bit. And the next thing you know, you're having to withstand 3 onside kicks to win a ball game. And luckily we did. But had one of those gone bad, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a pretty big night for several players. We had quite a few big plays. I know Cooper Brown, I thought, executed very well.
He and Dawson were both, Johnny on the spot. And the completion percentage in the first half was 80%. The second half, I don't know, and a lot of it was play calling on my part, but the percentage went way down. We were not near as efficient in the second half as we were the first half, and that's a little disappointing. But that a lot of that, like I said, starts from me. But then Anthony had a huge night again, and it was good to see him back running the ball like we expect, and he had 215 yards and a good night for him.
Well, that's a good way to cap off the end of the season there, in your last regular season game.
At home.
And at home, like I said, on senior night, and he's a senior, and I think he's going to end up finishing pretty respectful, in the state as far as the runnings go in the top. We'll see if he can stay in the top 50, but I think he will, or he's going to be close.
And he ended up a little over 1,400 yards on the year, which is, I don't know if I've had a running back in the last, 15 years that ran for that, and so that's certainly outstanding. And the way we throw it around some, there's some nights he got a lot of carries, some nights it's a little more balanced, and so we're pleased with that. And I know it's the first time since I've been here we've had a guy rush for that many yards.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know since I've been here in Bacon County, I don't know about some of the early teams in like 88 or 89, what any of those running backs did or the yardage, but that's something, maybe we'll try to find out. Mike Thompson can enlighten us on and find a few details there, but I'd like to commend him on, achieving that this year, and really only his second year or year and a half of fully being in the running back position.
So you look at if you want to be honest about it, it's 15 games, it's 2,500 yards, but roughly in 15 games, which is outstanding. But I'll tell you this, that without those guys up front,
that's right, that
you can shut it down. And I think that's one thing I hope people have realized as the years progressed. If you're good up front, then you're going to be fine. And if you're not good up front, you're not going to be very fine.
Yep.
But I thought offensive line did a great job all year.
Well, Coach, personally, in that Metter game, I had 2 plays of the game. Just my personal opinion, but one real big play was kind of the nail in the coffin was Shady coming up. They were punting. We had them pinned deep, and they had to punt inside the end zone. Right. And the punter dropped the snap. He just dropped the snap.
And the funny thing is, we had a safe call on, which meant we were holding up with everybody. And we have when we do that, we have one guy that's a check that forces it to make sure you punt it. And Shady was the only guy forcing it. And so nobody else was coming. And the guy just dropped the ball. And once he saw him drop it, and he accelerated and got on top of it. And you're right. That
was a real big play. And that kind of, they had a little momentum on us. And that right there just kind of sucked a little bit of life out of them. And it's always, tough when you give up a play like that and it turns into an immediate touchdown. And the next play to me was that final onside kick. KJ, that ball come in hot, and it had the potential to shoot out of there and go any direction, but
yeah, it hit
somehow,
off his chest. I don't know how in the world he stayed on top of it.
we got a lucky bounce
We
or
work on
whatever.
that. We work on that so much. We really do, because it's those kind of little things that will get you beating a game like that. And you know, everything's fine in practice, but when you have to get out there and do it in front of people, and it means something, and the game's on the line, there's a whole lot of pressure, and you don't envy a kid having to get out there and make that play. But we did it 3 times, and 2 times were flawless, and 1 time was fortuitous, I guess you'd say.
And one other moment that really sticks out in that game, Coach, a huge moment for Bacon County football, period. Ronaldo Juarez kicked a 47-yard field goal. It's a new school record, and so it. You know, we'll see. We'll check and see.
In the modern era.
In the modern era, there we go.
Right.
In the new stadium, that's the new record. But maybe there's one longer. We'll try to find out those details as well.
I'll tell you this much: there probably is one longer, but after next year there won't be one longer. Because if Ronaldo keeps improving and working like he is, I tell you what, he's one of the finest kickers in AA, and just a super pleasure to get to know as a human being. And boy, he's a good boy. And
he is. He is.
We were tickled to death at that 47 and had a 38-yard.
That's right.
And that's not easy to do. And then you look at how the game ended up, and doggone, that ended up being a difference in the ball game, was Ronaldo getting there to do the job. But more importantly than that, you know, you got to have a snap, and the snaps were good, and you got to have a hold, and the protection was good. And we spent a lot of time, and Joe Bordeaux does an excellent job with the kickers, and really works them jokers hard. But we put a lot of time into that, because I think if you're going to have a top-notch program, you got to be good at special teams, defense, and offense. You need to be good in all of them. And so we were just super proud of those 2 kicks.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's not every day you get to go to a high school football game and see anybody kick a 47.
And made it by a good measure. It'd probably been good from 53, 54, you know.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, and I'll have to correct myself, and on my post, I think Marty Metters is the one that holds the record, and it's 49 yards. Yeah. So I'll get that corrected on Facebook, and we'll get that addressed.
I think back then they used to kick on them square toe shoes.
That's right.
Back then, you know, that's what I remember.
And about the only place you could get those shoes was the old sports shop of downtown Waycross. I think the only place in the United States that sold them.
There was not a kicker in the United States that didn't kick with a square toe shoe.
That's right.
Back then, and I think if I brought one of them out now, the kids wouldn't know what that mess is now, you know.
And they'd go barefooted one foot and wear it.
Oh, sure.
And wear it on the other foot. So
I'll try to drink out of it or something, you know.
That's right. That's right. Well, Coach, we won that game, and we had a few things unfold in the other region matchups that went in our favor. We had Toombs defeated Swainsboro, and we Benedictine beat Jeff Davis, which put us in a 3-way tie.
Right.
And that being said, we had to have a tiebreaker, which is a mini playoff. We had to play it on neutral ground, which was in Vidalia. And the way they have the mini playoff is you explained it to me, the 3 coaches, you went on Saturday and you flip a coin. Yeah,
always flip it same
2
time.
coins will be the same and 1 will be different.
Right.
So the 2 the same actually play up in the first matchup, and the 1 out, he gets the bye. Yeah. He gets the bye. So the way it unfolded is Swainsboro and us drew the first matchup. Jeff Davis got the bye. Yeah. We had 2 5-minute periods. The 5-minute period was like a half, because we had a 2-minute break in between the 2 5-minute periods, which was like a mini halftime. Yeah. And at the end of that game, the winner would get a 20-minute break before they had to go and play in the second game. But anyway, we had a tough matchup against Swainsboro last night. You know, it was unbelievable environment. That place was so electric, and everything that was going on, and the amount of people. I was really shocked when I got there, and I had to park all the way at the front of the school, up by the main highway, and walk all the way down to the stadium. And
Well, let me say this before I forget. One of the coaches in the region, who I'm not going to name, but I'm not going to put him on blast like the kids say, he said, there ain't going to be nobody over here Monday night. And I said, Bubba, I'm going to tell you what. I don't care if Bacon and Jeff Davis are pitching cornhole against each other. There's going to be a pile of people to come watch it. And I knew when you added that with a proud program like Swainsboro in, I said, there's going to be some folks here. And I'm going to guess there's probably, maybe around a couple thousand, 2,000.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And, we got in there and the game got started. And, right off the bat, I think we had a few little jitters. It was a little loud.
A couple mistakes early.
We had a few mistakes early. We had to punt the ball to them. And we was able to manage to get a stop and stop them there. And we go into the little 2-minute halftime. And in the second 5-minute period, we come back out. And we kicked to them.
Right.
And we made a stop. And then we turned and made a pretty successful drive down the field, and we got in position and gave Ronaldo Juarez a chance. Was it a 48-yard?
48-yard with about 26 seconds. And, he kept using his timeouts. We're trying to run it down as low as we could go and be able to maybe kick it and leave them virtually nothing on the clock. And then we got it down as tight as we could. I really thought we needed 3 or 4 more yards. But at the same time, you have to be judicious in the way you run plays because you don't want to gamble a lot on a pass there and you get a pick six to the house and the ball game's over. When I knew we were in his range,
Yep.
It wasn't a gimme by any stretch, but I said we're at least in his range, and we're at least going to give him a shot to give us a lead with 25 seconds, 26 seconds, and we gave him a shot, and there was a lot of things that weren't perfect with the play and pulled it a little bit to the left. He certainly had enough leg. I think it probably would have been good from 50, but, not much more than that. But it was a good kick, good effort.
A little wide left.
A little left.
Yep.
And then, when we gave him that ball back, because you think about it, the ball goes in the end zone, then it's returned back to the 20. So they start from the 20, and we do a pretty good job on first down. And then maybe second down, in that third and long. And honestly, they were at the 30 at this point. If you go back and look on the film, they had coached, and it's smart on their part, they had coached the running back to get out of bounds. Before you take contact, get out of bounds. So you could see him trying to get out of bounds. But once he got to the sideline, he saw there was nothing there, and he just said, well, I'll go ahead and score, and that's what he did. And just, we had people there, had numbers there, and just not very good pursuit. But that's what I told him after the ball game. I said, you were as good as they were, but for one play.
Yep.
Just that one play is a separation of winning and not and being through. And it's really boils down as simple as that.
Yep. Well, Swainsboro ended up winning 6-0 and continued on to play Jeff Davis. And I stayed and watched that game. And, Coach, I'm here to tell you, that was one physical football game.
Oh, I bet.
And I have to hand it to Jeff Davis. They came out and they scored in the first 5-minute half, had a pick six. Threw an interception, had a pick six, and he returned it, and then they went for the 2-point conversion and actually missed it, and they had a penalty call, and they were able to go back out and were able to get in and score and make it 8-0. And then in the second 5-minute half, with not that much time left, that running back broke out on a play and managed to go down and score with about 20-something seconds left in that ball game. And they had to go for the 2-point conversion. And I'm going to back up from that just real quick. Something that just, excites you. And when I played football and was on the line, they had a play where here Swainsboro's driving down the field, and they fumbled the ball on about the 20. And Jeff Davis had a lineman scoop that ball up. And he went to running down the field, and I think he trucked about 4 Swainsboro players. I mean, decleated him, and he was hitting and moving. It looked like the refrigerator Perry back in the old Chicago Bear days, and running down the field. And man, somebody come in and punched that ball out, and they fumbled again, and then it went through about 6, 8 different hands, and Swainsboro managed to get back on it and stay alive. Well, they drove down and they scored. Had to go for the 2-point conversion, and they threw a little fade to the corner, and I seen the Swainsboro player come up, got it in his hands, and then he disappeared in the midst of the Jeff Davis players. And I was like, that was it. You know, he scored. It was a tie ball game, and then the referee made the motion that was incomplete pass. And so apparently on his way down somewhere, that ball come out, and it was an incomplete pass.
Wow.
Jeff Davis won. That was ball game. So, well, they had to kick back to them. There was about 6 seconds left, and they had to kick to Jeff Davis. They tried an onside kick, and Jeff Davis was able to get on it, and that was ball game.
Well, and if you go back and look at the very first coaches show we did this year, and we talked about this region, and I said at that time, I said there'll be one good team in this region won't be in the playoffs, and I was wrong, because there's 2 good teams in this region not in the playoffs. And you know, we don't cry and sit around and pout and all that, but we beat 5 playoff teams this year through this season. I think that's certainly a good accomplishment. And then you look at the disparity between our region and other regions in the state, and you know, it don't make you happy when you got 2 teams that are 6 and 4 not in the playoffs, and we didn't take care of business, and we have no, you know, it's our blame. I take full responsibility for that, but it's ridiculous. You see these teams that win 2 games and they're, you know, hosting, or 3 games and they're hosting, and it is what it is. But I'll tell you what, nobody plays in a region, and nobody in our region has played a schedule like we have this year. And every game's been a very tough game, and no cupcakes on our schedule.
Well, Coach, I have to hand it to you. My hat's off to you and the coaching staff. And you know, we finished the season 6 and 4, much improved from last year. We, you know, here late we did have the injury bug jump on us again, but you know, we managed to get in there and
gave yourself a chance, have a chance, and that's all you can ask for.
And that's all you can ask for. That's what you want. You know,
Yeah.
At least we had a fighting chance, and it didn't come down to your point spread or something like that to break a tie. I like the mini playoff. I like, you know, people say that's weird or strange, but I like having the opportunity to at least go have a fighting chance and me control the destiny.
Right.
Instead of
it's settled on the field.
That's
and,
right.
And you know, I feel like when that happens, you live with the results, and you know. But I try to explain it to one of my friends like this morning. A game like that's not really designed for us. We're not a speed team. We don't have breakaway guys. We're kind of like that heavyweight boxer, and we're going to get you some body shots in, and we're going to keep punching, and that's generally how we beat people. You know, is we keep giving you punch, punch, punch. And then when you're in a session like we had last night, you don't have time to give body blows. You know, if you know, in hindsight, you probably got to go for the jugular a little bit and gamble, which we didn't do. But I'll tell you what's the most proud thing for me about it is in 2 years I can't think of a game that our boys didn't play as hard as they could play for as long as they were on the field, and that was the case again last night, and that was the case Friday. And so I'm super proud of that. I'm really proud of the effort, and we owe them a debt of gratitude that we can't ever repay, and look forward to them doing big things the rest of their life. And we look forward to them young bucks we got moving up too.
That's right. And I want to thank all the seniors for, you know, all their years of dedication to Red Raider football. I want to thank their parents for their years of dedication and, you know, and making sure they get here and, you know, and staying behind them and pushing them and encouraging them. And the underclassmen, you know, their season started today.
Yeah.
So
they're not underclassmen anymore, is what we told them.
That's
you know,
right.
They're in my eyes, they're juniors and seniors now.
That's right.
And I tell you what's the exciting thing is you know, we lose a good group. I think we end up having 13, 14 seniors when it's all said and done. But we'll look up here and not, you know, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we'll be coaching these kids, you know.
Yep.
So I'd say the Red Raider tradition and the Red Raider Nation is alive and well, and I think that this thing will keep rolling, and we're going to certainly keep working to make this program the best it can be.
Well, Coach, on next season, if we keep all the juniors that played this year return next year, looks like we could have a possibility of having 18 possible 17 or 18 seniors next year, which will be a very big number for Bacon County.
And what we tell them right now, though, is that sounds well and good, but if you don't do what you're supposed to in the classroom, we won't have to worry about it.
Yep.
And if you don't get your schoolwork done, you don't come to school and act like we expect you to act, then we won't have that. But they know what the expectations are, and they know, you've got to do well in the classroom. You've got to do what's essential there to be a part of this program. And that's something we're really harping on now. I've started pulling grades today, checking for them underclassmen, and we'll get them squared away. And I hope we pick up a couple more kids that maybe are interested in playing football, and I hope we have 20 plus, next year.
Maybe so. Well, Coach, big things. Like I said, we end the season 6-4. We went 4-0 for the first time in Bacon County history. Just a lot of big things, exciting for the program. We want to definitely thank all our sponsors.
Hold on, and we beat Pierce and Jeff Davis,
and we beat Pierce and Jeff Davis in the same season.
And we'll be sure to remind them of that for the next 348 days or whatever it is.
Yeah, there was a little talking going on last night.
You know what? And I'll tell you this: I think both of those. I'm proud for both of them teams, because I tell you what, you don't have to love and hug necks and all that, but you respect the work that people put in. And the work that's been put into that Jeff Davis program, which was a mess, and I think they would admit that it was not very good several years ago. And they have put in a lot of work to that program and a lot of commitment, and they've got a fine football program right now. And I'm glad they're in our region. I'm glad they're rivals of us, and we look forward to playing them next year.
Absolutely, that was their first time they've made the playoffs since 2001.
Yeah.
And like I said, I work with a guy, his son plays for Jeff Davis, and he's part of the Touchdown Club. So, I went in there with a smiling face this morning, and at the end of the day, I'm happy for them. Like you said, they work hard, and now we got to go in there and we got to pull for Region 2.
I don't know if we'd be happy for them, but I'm proud. How about proud for them?
There you go.
Coach Helton's a good coach, and I tell you what, I think I really like him, and he's doing an outstanding job over there. And like I said, boy, when you got this whole area right here, and Appleton plays good football, and Pierce plays good football, and we play good football, and Jeff Davis and Coffee, it's limitless. If you're going to live in this area, you better play good football,
That's
or
right.
you won't hang around long,
Yep. Well, Coach, we couldn't have done all this, and definitely without our sponsors and everything that they've done.
People have no idea. They
That's
have no idea.
We want to thank our Super Raider sponsors. We want to thank Clean Air and Electric with Mr. Andy Batten. We want to thank Mr. Larry Taylor and Burt Accounting, and we want to thank John Hughes with State Farm. They went above and beyond and earned that Super Raider status, and we just thank them. And everybody else, all of our other.
I'm gonna go out on a limb too. This last show, I'm gonna go and make my prediction for next year. I bet you we're gonna have more than 3 field sponsors next year, because I've already had quite a few people ask me about it, and so we'll get the word out on that thing probably about May, and I bet you we'll double what we got this year.
There we go. And Raider Nation, we want to thank you for coming out and supporting us and coming to the games, and we couldn't do any of this without your support.
Let's be real for a second. There has not been one scrimmage, game, or anything that I've looked up there and I've been even the least bit disappointed in our crowd. We have had awesome crowds on the road. We've had awesome crowds at home. You couldn't ask for anything more, really couldn't. And we owe them so much, and we've got such a great administration and a great school board and a great superintendent that all want that it's important to them, and they want this thing to be right, and they want it to be what we expect. And I was tickled to death on a side note to see Coach Duck at the ball game Friday night. And boy, he was having a large time, and we were glad to see him. And on a side note, part 2, Miss Amy Holton's got my smoker, and I'm pretty tore up about that. But
I told her, I said, now the only deal with winning the smoker is we get an invite to the first barbecue. You and I get an invite to the first barbecue.
And and be forewarned, because next year, them tickets gonna go even faster. We sold out this year.
Yep.
And I bet you next year, I bet we won't have them long at
That's
all,
right.
because everybody wanted that. I was so mad, I wouldn't even speak to my wife sold her the ticket. I wouldn't even speak to my wife Friday night.
Yeah, she come down. She was excited. She just says, "I sold that ticket. I sold that ticket."
Good for her.
I said, "Well, I need to buy one from you then." But anyway, again, Raider Nation, we thank you. Just great year. We end on a high note, and we just want to thank you for everything and supporting Red Raider football. And we'll get back to work and look at improving, making 2018 a much improved season.
Yeah, we on the clock now.
That's right.
And we're giving them a physical break because we're beat up and wore out. But I promise you this, the Monday after Thanksgiving, it'll be time to roll again.
Yep, back to that grind. We thank you. Look forward to seeing you again next year. Go Big Red.